Mixed results in August's visitor report. Although spending was up over the same time last month, visitor arrivals took a dip, dropping 4.2%. There's also been a stint of bad news related to tourism after a visitor took a fatal fall off a trolley. More hand grenades were discovered on local beaches, and TSA workers in Hawaii were fired for not screening luggage for explosives. All this comes as Honolulu is set to serve as the world stage during the APEC conferences next month. And joining us with more on this is CivilBeat.com assistant editor Sarah Lynn in this week for John Temple. Good morning, Sarah, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be here.
So the headline says it all, a bummer of a summer, according to Civil Beat. Why don't you explain more about why it's been a bummer?
Well, as you mentioned, visitor arrivals are down, and although, year over year they are up, we've seen a steady decline. They've been going down since since June and July. But it also follows just a rash of pretty bad headlines lately. There were the ones that you mentioned, but also, just if I'm to read a few here, a city warns people to stay away from the deteriorating seawall at the natatorium. We had Disney open, Aulani open to mixed reviews. Timeshare sales were halted and fees were hiked. And then you had that Big Island zipline worker who fell to his death when he was testing a line. So these are all, you might think that these might be isolated events, but there are, still quite a few. And last but not least, the Hawaii governor and his wife are on vacation, but in Paris of all places. So you say it isn't so. If it were any other summer, I think we might brush it off our shoulders. But APEC's coming next month, so we kind of want to put, a good face to the world for that.
Right, and that's what the tourism officials are trying to do. So how are they responding to some of these negative headlines?
Well, I think that there is a lot of silver lining to all of this. Brian Schatz, has come out and said, APEC beautification is steady and sure. I mean, if you've been into Waikiki, you've seen the sidewalks are being ripped up. They're replacing them and putting down new stuff. You have Hawaii Five-0, which is still, a very popular show, especially since, there's that tension of whether Kona is POW or not with the show. And tourists are still actually staying longer and spending more per day. So even with all of some of the negative things that you're seeing, there is still a lot of a silver lining here, and I think folks are trying to focus on the positive with that.
All right, well, APEC is going to be a big one. Sarah Lynn from CivilBeat.com, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
and you can find the complete story that we just discussed on CivilBeat.com. Some great stories on that website.